You can't truly create and move your listener without making yourself feel something when you're singing. And then the next question is, well, how do you not let your emotions overtake your whole thing when you're singing? And that's exactly what we're going to go over in this episode. Let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Maggie. I'm the founder of the Singing Insiders, in which I help passionate singers just like yourself enhance their singing skills so that they can perform and sing in public without feeling self-conscious. And in these episodes, you're going to get tips, tricks, insights all around singing to help you up-level your singing skills. So let's talk about this phenomenon of needing to feel something in order to actually be able to create when you're singing. And I totally get where this idea comes from of playing safe and not tapping into your emotions too much when you're singing, because we've been told over and over and over again that if we just master breath support or hit the right notes or sing on pitch and sing with that precision, then that's what we really need to move a listener. Especially if you struggle with self-doubt and insecurities, it's easy to believe that more control over your voice means more confidence. Many singers, they think, once I have all the right vocal techniques, then I'll feel more comfortable and more confidence to actually, sing the song or perform or whatever it is that you want to be able to do. So vocal technique becomes this thing that many singers kind of cling on to as a safety net. The truth is, though, that technique doesn't move people. Technique is not the thing that will make your listener feel something. Emotion does. Imagine that imagine that you just went to a concert and there's two singers that sing at that concert. And singer number one, they sing everything beautifully, vocal technique-wise, it was perfect. It was a good performance. Singer number two, they really let you feel something. They triggered a memory within your mind that brought you to tears. Maybe they reminded you of a special person in your life. They moved you. They gave you those goosebumps. That's singer number two. When you're going home that night and you're telling your friends about the concert, who will you be talking the most about? Singer number one or singer number two? Most people would say singer number two. And that's because you're reminding them more because they made you feel something. They touched your soul in some way. So that's the person that you will remember the most. Even if the performance might not have been perfect. So if you continue to chase that vocal perfection using vocal technique without letting yourself feel free within the music that you're singing, well, then your performances will tend to fall flat. Not only to you, you'll have the impression that you're not really in it, but also to your listener. They might perceive it as, oh yeah, it was good, but nothing more. So you'll end up sounding nice, but forgettable or not memorable. And you might feel disconnected to your singing. And worst of all, you miss the one thing that makes singing so impactful, which is connection. So what do we do instead? Well, we already established that we need to feel the emotion. As humans, we are empathetic social beings. So if someone is crying, my instinctive reaction will be to give that person a hug and ask, is there anything I can do to help you? That's how humans are wired. We're social beings. So if you want your listener to feel something when you're singing, then you need to feel something when you're singing too. And if you're feeling an emotion for the full 100%, they might perceive that same feeling at maybe 70%. So there's always an amount of emotion that gets lost in that transition between what you're feeling and what your listener is feeling. That being said, though, if you're only feeling 30% of an emotion, because you might be scared of letting it all in, because you might be scared to be overhauled by the emotion, well, can you then imagine what comes through to your listener? Maybe they're feeling just 5%. So we want to play with that. Let's talk about that. First of all, let your emotions lead your voice instead of the other way around. Instead of your voice leading the emotion. Many times I have singers that I work with that ask me, what is a vocal effect that I can add to my voice to convey a type of emotion, to convey anger? So their question will be, what can I add as a vocal technique to convey this emotion? Instead, we want to feel the emotion and then just see whatever our voice ends up producing as a sound. That will most oftentimes be the most natural way to make that bridge between emotion and vocal technique. So a few things that you can take with you to help you is, well, first of all, when you're singing, choose a song that means something to you. Look at the lyrics, reflect on them, and reflect on, how do these lyrics apply to me? How can you see yourself in that story? And then practice yourself giving the permission to sound imperfect, to sound shaky, to sound messy, because we're human beings, right? This is part of the whole process. Now let's address the fear that oftentimes comes up for singers that they have when they're going through this process of, okay, I'm gonna look at the lyrics, I'm gonna see how that applies to my personal story, but what if the emotion takes over? That's the fear that comes up throughout this whole process. 3 things. Number 1, realize that it's okay to be overhauled by emotion. There are so many examples that you can find on YouTube, by the way, of singers that have started crying on stage. Big names like Celine Dion, Whitney Houston. There's a beautiful one from Miley Cyrus. Go have a look at those videos and notice what you feel when you're watching them. My personal experience going through that type of videos is being touched by the experience that the artist is going through. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, that was a wrong note or it sounded horrible. No, I'm sitting there with compassion because, again, we're empathetic social beings. So number 1 is know that it's okay to cry when you're performing, or know that it's okay that the emotion takes over your voice. The real question is, how do you handle it when it happens? So that's number 1. It's okay. If the emotion takes over, that's totally fine. That is what creates the connection with your audience, not the perfect vocal technique. Number 2, you can play and you can practice this at home before going on stage. You can play with the amount of emotion that you're feeling inside. So we already talked about the fact that if I feel 100% of the emotion inside me, you might feel 70% of that. Because obviously there's always a little bit that gets lost in the transition between the two. So you can play at home with, well, how does it feel to truly tap into the full 100% of this emotion? And how does it feel to maybe tap into 80% of the emotion? Because if you're feeling 80%, then maybe your listener will still get 65%, which is enough for them to feel something and be moved by what you have to bring as a singer and an artist. Does that make sense? So you can play with the amount of emotion that you're letting through within you. Third thing that you can look at, and this is something that a singer that I worked with shared with me, and he shared it on the podcast recently. He said, well, when I have heightened emotions within a song, I first sing that song over and over and over and over again at home, feeling those high emotions, letting myself cry, letting myself feel the anger, like whatever it might be, what the emotion is of the song. And then once I've processed it all, now I feel ready to actually sing that song in public and control the emotion. Because he got all the heightened emotions out of the way beforehand. So that might be another solution to look at. How can you cry and feel the anger and feel all the feelings before you're actually singing it on stage in front of an audience? So those are the 3 things to take with you. 1, it's okay. It's okay to let emotions take over when you're singing. It doesn't mean that you're failing. 2, you can play with the percentage of the emotion. And number 3, you can test out what happens if you're feeling your whole body and your whole being feels through that feeling before performing. So let me ask you this. Do you want to keep holding on to this idea that technique alone is what makes you a powerful singer, with the consequence of being disconnected to your song, being disconnected to your listener, being unseen and really stuck within your logical thinking every time you sing? Or do you want to step into a new way of singing, one where you allow yourself to be guided through these emotions and where you connect deeply with your audience, with yourself, and finally feel that freedom of expressing yourself through music? If you're choosing option number 2, then I'm inviting you to keep this conversation moving forward. Because as you can hopefully see, singing and developing yourself as a singer requires a holistic approach. Yes, it's about training your voice, using the right vocal techniques, and combining that with authentic expression, which is what we talked about today, but also nervous system regulation, which is what we need to overcome any anxiety or fears when we're singing. And in another episode, I'm actually opening up that whole conversation using our vocal freedom method and the 3 pillars that go along with that. I'm inviting you to keep going with this conversation and click on the link that I will share in the description here down below to get to that next episode so that we can open it up beyond only vocal technique. We need to look at the full picture, your all-round development as a singer, as an artist, as a musician. So click the link below to go to that next episode, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for having been here. Talk soon. Bye.